Introduction. Wealth has long been one of the most misunderstood concepts in the world. For many, it's a distant dream, something reserved for the lucky, the powerful, or those born into privilege. Others chase it endlessly, believing it's just one promotion away, one investment away, one big idea away. But what if wealth isn't just about money? What if it's about understanding and applying a set of rules, timeless principles that govern how value flows in the world? The truth is, wealth doesn't come from luck. It comes from knowledge, discipline, and a way of thinking that aligns with the invisible laws of abundance. The wealthiest people on earth, regardless of where they started, follow certain patterns. They live by rules, not written in law books or taught in school, but carved out through experience, trial and error, and a deep understanding of how the world really works. This book is not about get-rich-quick schemes or secret formulas that promise instant success. It's about the mindset, habits, and strategies that quietly but powerfully build lasting wealth. You won't need a genius-level IQ, an inheritance, or a business empire to apply these principles. What you will need is an open mind and a willingness to look at money and life differently. Each chapter in this book explores one fundamental rule of wealth. These are not theories, but practices observed in the lives of successful individuals across different industries, cultures, and time periods. Some of these rules might challenge what you currently believe. Others may confirm instincts you've always had but never acted upon. As you read, you'll begin to see how these pieces fit together into a clear and simple philosophy. But let me be upfront. This journey isn't only about money in the bank. Real wealth is about freedom. The freedom to choose how you spend your time. The freedom to provide for your loved ones. The freedom to pursue your purpose without the constant pressure of survival. Money is a tool, a powerful one, but it's only the beginning of the picture. What makes the rules of wealth so special is that they're accessible to anyone who's willing to apply them. You don't need a master's degree in finance. You don't need to be a stock market wizard. You just need to learn the game and play it wisely. Once you understand the rules, you'll start to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You'll stop working just for money and start making money work for you. This book is written to be clear, practical, and inspiring. You won't find complicated jargon or overwhelming strategies. Instead, you'll find insights that stick with you, ideas you can start using today to build a richer, more fulfilling future. Along the way, you'll learn how to shift your mindset, control your habits, invest in what matters, and unlock a life that many only dream of. In the final chapter, I'll reveal the most powerful rule of all, the one that ties everything together and has a potential to transform not just your finances, but your entire life. But for now, your only task is to read with intention and take each idea seriously. Let them settle in. Let them challenge you. Let them guide you. The journey to wealth begins here, not with $1, but with a decision to take control, to learn, and to grow. If you're ready, turn the page. The rules of wealth are waiting. Chapter 1. Wealth begins in the mind long before it shows up in your bank account. The first and most important rule of wealth is simple. Think like a wealthy person. This doesn't mean pretending to be rich or imagining yachts and mansions. It means shifting your mindset from scarcity to abundance, from fear to opportunity, from short-term pleasure to long-term value. This is where everything starts. Most people grow up with limiting beliefs about money. Maybe you've heard things like, money doesn't grow on trees, rich people are greedy, or I'll never be wealthy unless I win the lottery. These phrases sound harmless, but they shape how we think and behave. If you believe deep down that money is bad or that you're not meant to have it, you'll subconsciously sabotage your own progress. Wealthy people think differently. They believe that money is a tool, neutral, powerful, and capable of doing both good and bad depending on how it's used. They see the world as full of opportunities, not competition. They understand that wealth is not a zero-sum game. Just because someone else has money doesn't mean there's less for you. In fact, when others succeed, they often create new possibilities for everyone around them. One of the most powerful mental shifts you can make is to stop trading time for money and start thinking in terms of value. Most people sell their time. They work for an hourly wage or a monthly salary. But time is limited. You can't work 24 hours a day, and even if you did, your income would still have a ceiling. Wealthy individuals focus on creating value, products, services, systems that can generate income even when they're not physically working. They also ask different questions. Where others ask, "Can I afford this?" wealthy minds ask, "How can I afford this?" The first question ends a conversation. The second opens the door to creativity. This doesn't mean spending recklessly. It means looking for solutions instead of accepting limitations. Another key part of the wealth mindset is responsibility. Wealthy people don't blame the government, the economy, or their boss for their financial situation. They take full ownership of their choices. This doesn't mean they never face obstacles. They just refuse to let those obstacles define their future. They control what they can, learn from their mistakes, and adjust their path when needed. Delayed gratification is another cornerstone of wealthy thinking. It's easy to spend money the moment you get it, on gadgets, clothes, or experiences that offer short-term satisfaction. But wealthy people understand the power of waiting. They invest, they save, and they reinvest. They think years ahead, not just days. This ability to delay gratification is what allows small decisions today to compound into massive results tomorrow. It's also worth noting that wealthy individuals surround themselves with other forward-thinking people. They seek mentors, join mastermind groups, and learn from those who have already walked the path. They understand that who you spend time with affects how you think. If you're constantly around people who complain about money or believe it's impossible to get ahead, you'll likely absorb those beliefs. But if you surround yourself with people who think big, take action, and build wealth, their mindset will start to rub off on you. Thinking like a wealthy person doesn't happen overnight. It's a habit, one that gets stronger the more you practice it. You start by catching your limiting beliefs. Every time you think, "I can't afford this," or "I'm just not good with money," stop and question it. Replace it with a more empowering thought. Ask, "What can I learn from this?" Or "What's the opportunity here?" You also train your mind by feeding it the right information. Read books about wealth. Listen to podcasts. Follow people who have achieved the kind of success you want. Fill your environment with reminders that wealth is possible and that it starts with how you think. Here's a small exercise. Write down 5 beliefs you have about money. Be honest. Then ask yourself, where did these beliefs come from? Are they helping you build wealth or holding you back? Replace the limiting beliefs with new ones. For example, "I'll never be rich" becomes, "I am learning to build wealth every day." Do this regularly, and you'll start to notice a shift in your thinking and eventually in your actions. In the end, the wealth you build will reflect the way you think. If your mind is full of scarcity, fear, and excuses, your finances will mirror that. But if you cultivate thoughts of abundance, value, and growth, your outer world will begin to match your inner one. This is the first rule of wealth. Change your mind and your life will follow. Chapter 2. Once you start thinking like a wealthy person, the next rule becomes clear. Pay yourself first. It's a simple principle, yet it's one that most people ignore, and that's exactly why most people struggle financially. The idea is straightforward. Before you pay your bills, before you buy groceries, before you do anything else with your income, set aside a portion for yourself, not for spending, but for building your future. It sounds counterintuitive at first. Isn't the responsible thing to pay your rent, your utilities, your debts? Yes, of course. But if you always put everyone else first, the landlord, the phone company, the credit card companies, you'll never build real wealth. Paying yourself first means treating your future like a priority, not an afterthought. Wealthy people do this instinctively. The moment money comes in, they allocate a part of it to savings, investments, or other long-term assets. It's not about the amount. Even 10% of small income can become something powerful over time. What matters is the habit. When you pay yourself first, you send a signal to your brain. Building wealth is non-negotiable. Let's take an example. Imagine someone earning $3,000 a month. If they set aside just 10%, that's $300 before doing anything else. They're already ahead of most people. Over time, that money grows, not just because it accumulates, but because it starts working for you. Put into an investment, it earns returns. With enough time and consistency, even small contributions become large sums. The biggest objection to this rule is usually, but I can't afford to save right now. It's understandable. Life is expensive. But the truth is, if you wait until you feel ready, you never will. There will always be another expense, another emergency, another reason to delay. That's why the amount doesn't matter as much as the act. Even $10 saved consistently builds discipline. And discipline is far more valuable than any single dollar. There's also a psychological shift that happens when you pay yourself first. You start seeing yourself as someone who saves, who invests, who builds. This creates momentum. Suddenly, you're more aware of your spending. You begin to notice waste, to cut back on things that don't bring lasting value. You start making decisions with your future in mind, not just your present. Another benefit? Emergency protection. Life is unpredictable. Cars break down. Jobs disappear. Medical bills surprise you. If you've been paying yourself first, you'll have a cushion. That cushion turns disasters into inconveniences. It gives you peace of mind and the ability to make better choices under pressure. To make this rule work in your life, automation is your friend. Set up automatic transfers from your main account to a savings or investment account. Do it the moment your paycheck arrives. That way, you remove emotion from the equation. It becomes just another bill, but this time, it's a bill that benefits you. You can also break it down further. Think of your savings like a business. Maybe 10% goes into long-term investments, 5% into an emergency fund, and another 5% into a dream fund for travel, education, or starting a business. This structure gives purpose to your money. You're not just saving blindly. You're building something. It's also worth noting that paying yourself first has a ripple effect. Once you see progress, you'll be motivated to grow it. You'll start asking better questions. How can I increase my income? What skills can I learn? Where can I invest this money for better returns? These are the questions that lead to real financial transformation. The habit also teaches you something deeper, self-respect. When you prioritize your future, you're telling yourself that you matter, that your goals are important, that your dreams are worth funding. This shift is subtle but powerful. It turns money from a source of stress into a source of strength. Some people try to skip this rule. They think they'll save what's left after spending. But the truth is, there's never anything left. Lifestyle expands to fill your income unless you put boundaries in place. That's why this rule works best when it's priority, not a leftover. And here's the secret. Once you get used to it, you won't even miss the money. Your mind and lifestyle adjust. You'll find new ways to live within your new spending limits. And with time, your savings will start to feel like freedom. Because that's what they are, little seeds of freedom, growing quietly in the background. So start today. No matter how much you earn, no matter what your situation looks like, open an account, name it Freedom Fund, and make your first deposit. It might be small, but it's the beginning of something big. This is the second rule of wealth. Always pay yourself first. It's how you build a habit of wealth. $1, one decision at a time. Chapter 3. If paying yourself first is about setting money aside, then the third rule of wealth is about what you do with that money. Make your money work for you. This is the principle that separates those who are merely saving from those who are building real, lasting wealth. Saving is a foundation, but investing is the engine. Most people work hard for money. They trade hours for income, month after month, year after year. But wealthy individuals understand a different path, one where money earns more money. They build systems where dollars work 24/7 without taking breaks, without asking for raises, without ever getting tired. These dollars are like employees, and when managed well, they generate income without your constant effort. This is the essence of passive income. Income that continues to flow even when you're not actively working for it. Investments in real estate, stocks, businesses, or intellectual property can all become sources of passive income. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's not without risk, but over time, it's how wealth multiplies. Let's start with a simple example: compound interest. It's often called the eighth wonder of the world for good reason. Imagine you invest $1,000 at an annual return of 10%. After 1 year, you have $1,100. After 2 years, $1,210. Not only is your original $1,000 growing, but your interest earns interest. Over years, this snowballs. If you consistently invest, the results can be staggering. Wealthy people understand this early. That's why many start investing as soon as they can, even if it's a small amount. They know that time is their greatest ally. The earlier you begin, the less money you need to invest overall, because compound interest does much of the heavy lifting later on. Now, there are many ways to invest, and not all are created equal. The stock market, for example, can be a powerful tool when used wisely. Over the long term, broad market index funds tend to grow steadily. They offer exposure to a wide range of companies and industries, lowering risk while providing solid returns. Real estate is another time-tested method. A well-chosen rental property can generate consistent monthly income while appreciating in value. Then there are businesses, either ones you own outright or ones you invest in. This can be the most powerful form of investment because the returns can be unlimited, but it's also the riskiest. Still, many of the wealthiest people on the planet built their fortunes through entrepreneurship. And let's not forget intellectual property. Books, online courses, software, music. Anything that can be created once and sold many times is a form of investment. It takes effort up front, but the payoff can continue for years. Think of it as building assets instead of just working jobs. The key here is to move beyond the saver mindset and into the investor mindset. Saving protects you. Investing grows you. Both are important, but only one leads to real wealth over time. To adopt this mindset, start asking different questions. How can I make this money grow? What asset can I buy that pays me back? How do I build streams of income that don't rely on me clocking in? Of course, investing comes with risk, but so does everything in life. The risk of not investing is the risk of staying stuck, of working forever and having nothing to show for it. The trick is to educate yourself. Read, research, talk to people who are doing it. Start small, take calculated risks, and always stay diversified. Never put all your eggs in one basket. Another important principle is reinvesting your returns. When your investment pays off, resist the urge to spend it. Instead, put it back into the system. This is how empires are built, not by one-time wins, but by reinvestment and discipline over time. Think of each dollar as a seed. If you eat the seed, it's gone. But if you plant it, it grows into a tree that produces fruit year after year. Also, consider how you can use systems to automate your investments. Set up monthly transfers to your investment accounts, just like you do with savings. Make it effortless. The less emotional energy it takes, the more consistent you'll be. And consistency is everything when it comes to building wealth. Lastly, remember this. Wealth isn't about working harder. It's about working smarter. Your time is limited, but your money, once invested, has unlimited potential. Don't just aim to earn more. Aim to own assets that earn for you. Learn how money moves. Understand the rules of the game. And then play to win. This is the third rule of wealth. Make your money work for you. Because the real path to financial freedom isn't just about how much you earn. It's about how well you multiply what you already have. Chapter 4. The fourth rule of wealth is simple but powerful. Live below your means. It's not flashy. It's not exciting. But it works every single time. In fact, it may be the most reliable wealth building habit there is. No matter how much money you make, if you spend it all, or worse, more than you earn, you'll never become truly wealthy. Living below your means is what creates the gap, and that gap is where wealth is built. It's easy to get caught up in the illusion of wealth. Nice clothes, new gadgets, luxury vacations, expensive cars. They look like success. But in reality, many people who appear rich are just one paycheck away from financial stress. They've mastered the art of spending, not the art of growing. Real wealth is quiet. It's built in modest homes, with used cars, regular savings, and invisible investments. Living below your means doesn't mean living in poverty or never enjoying life. It means choosing wisely. It means asking yourself, does this expense improve my life long term or just make me feel good right now? It means being intentional about your money instead of impulsive. And it means making decisions that benefit your future self, not just your present one. One of the smartest things you can do is track your spending. Most people have no idea where their money goes. They feel broke at the end of every month, but can't explain why. When you track your spending, even for just 30 days, you get a clear picture of your habits. You start to notice patterns. Unnecessary subscriptions, impulsive purchases, meals eaten out that added up fast. These small leaks, once identified, are easy to fix. Budgeting is another tool that helps you live below your means. It doesn't have to be complicated. A simple rule like the 50/30/20 model can work wonders. 50% of your income goes to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings or investments. Or you can flip it. Make savings a priority and fit your lifestyle around what's left. That's the real secret. Don't adjust your savings to your lifestyle. Adjust your lifestyle to your savings goals. Some of the wealthiest people in the world are also the most frugal. Warren Buffett still lives in the same house he bought in 1958. Many self-made millionaires drive ordinary cars and wear inexpensive watches. Why? Because they value freedom more than appearances. They know that every dollar not spent is a dollar that can be invested, a dollar that can grow. There's also something deeply empowering about living below your means. You're no longer a slave to your paycheck. You have options. You can handle emergencies. You can say no to toxic jobs, take time off when you need to, or start a business without begging for a loan. Living below your means buys you independence, and that's worth far more than any luxury item. Now, let's talk about lifestyle inflation, the silent enemy of wealth. It happens when your expenses rise every time your income does. You get a raise, and suddenly you're dining out more, buying fancier clothes, upgrading your car. Before long, your spending is caught up with your new income, and you're back where you started. No progress, just a fancier version of broke. The antidote to lifestyle inflation is discipline. When your income goes up, lock in your current lifestyle and increase your saving and investing instead. It's okay to treat yourself once in a while, but make that the exception, not the rule. Let your net worth rise with your income, not just your wardrobe. Another practical tip is to separate your accounts. Have one account for spending, one for saving, and one for investing. When money comes in, move it immediately into the proper buckets. That way, you won't accidentally spend your future on things you won't even remember in a few months. Living below your means also encourages creativity. When you limit what you spend, you find smarter ways to do things. You cook more. You learn new skills instead of outsourcing everything. You appreciate what you have instead of constantly chasing what you don't. And over time, this mindset builds not only wealth but resilience. There's no shame in living simply. In fact, simplicity often brings peace. When your life isn't filled with constant financial pressure, you can focus on what really matters: your health, your family, your goals. You stop chasing every trend and start building something real. It's not about being cheap. It's about being smart. It's about deciding that your future is worth more than fleeting pleasures. It's about choosing ownership over appearances. This is the fourth rule of wealth. Live below your means. Not because you have to, but because you choose to. Because you understand that true wealth is built quietly, patiently, and wisely, one good decision at a time. Chapter 5. We've talked about earning, saving, and investing, all crucial steps on the road to wealth. But now it's time to introduce a different kind of rule, one that doesn't deal with money directly, but affects everything around it. The fifth rule of wealth is, surround yourself with the right people. Wealth is not just about what you know. It's also about who you spend your time with. Your environment shapes your thinking, your habits, and your expectations. If you're constantly around people who complain about money, who spend recklessly, who see wealth as something unattainable or evil, it's going to pull you down. Slowly, subtly, their mindset becomes yours. But if you're around people who talk about opportunity, who invest, who think long-term, who are building, experimenting, learning, that energy becomes contagious too. It lifts you. It challenges you. It opens your mind to what's possible. There's a saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's true, financially, intellectually, emotionally. If you want to build wealth, you need to be in rooms where wealth is being built. Not necessarily in the millions, but in mindset, in discipline, in the way people approach life. This doesn't mean cutting everyone out of your life who isn't financially successful. It means being intentional about who influences you. You can love your friends and family without letting their limiting beliefs become your ceiling. You can stay connected while still seeking new conversations, the kind that stretch you, that make you think bigger. Start by finding people who inspire you. They don't have to be billionaires. They just have to be moving forward. Look for people who are curious, who are learning, who are building something. Join communities, online or offline, where ideas about money, business, and personal growth are shared. Listen more than you speak. Absorb. Ask questions. Books and podcasts count too. If you don't yet have wealthy people around you, learn from those who've written their stories, who've shared their strategies, who've left clues. Every wealthy person had a beginning, and most of them were shaped by mentors, examples, and the right kind of company. Be aware of negativity. People will project their fears onto you. That's too risky. Be realistic. People like us don't do things like that. They're not trying to hurt you. They're just speaking from their own limitations. But if you absorb those beliefs, they become yours. And nothing kills dreams faster than inherited doubt. One of the most powerful things you can do is seek out a mentor. Not someone who will do the work for you, but someone who will challenge your thinking. Someone who's walked the road ahead. Mentors don't always look like you expect. Sometimes it's a boss, a teacher, a friend's parent, or a stranger you meet through networking. The point is to listen, learn, and implement. At the same time, don't underestimate your influence on others. As you grow, you'll naturally start to become an example. People will watch what you do. Some will mock. Others will follow. Either way, stay on your path. The more progress you make, the more your environment shifts. And eventually, you become one of the right people others are looking for. Also remember that wealth isn't just about money. It's about energy, health, peace, and purpose. So surround yourself with people who are not just financially successful, but also kind, grounded, and purpose-driven. These people will challenge you to grow in all areas, not just your bank account. Be careful with envy. If you're around someone who's doing better than you, let it motivate you, not discourage you. Don't resent success. Study it. Ask how they got there. Learn from their mistakes and victories. Celebrate their wins and keep moving forward. One thing wealthy people often do is collaborate. They understand that partnerships, ideas, and opportunities are born in conversation. They share resources. They support each other's goals. They know that wealth multiplies faster when built together. That's why your network is your net worth. So take a moment to look around you. Who challenges you to be better? Who supports your goals? Who drains your energy or reinforces bad habits? Make adjustments where you need to. You don't have to make announcements or cut ties dramatically. Just start spending more time where growth is happening. Wealthy people play the long game, and they choose their team carefully. This is the fifth rule of wealth. Surround yourself with people who lift you higher. Because the path to financial freedom is hard enough, you don't need to walk it with anchors tied to your feet. Choose wisely, and your environment will do half the work for you. Chapter 6. The sixth rule of wealth is one that separates short-term earners from long-term builders. Never rely on a single source of income. If your entire financial well-being depends on one job, one client, or one business, you're walking a tightrope. One shaken system, a layoff, a market downturn, a change in industry, and everything you build could collapse overnight. Wealthy people know this. That's why they build multiple streams of income. They understand that financial stability comes not from earning a lot in one place, but from creating many small rivers that flow together into a strong current. If one dries up, the others keep going. That's not just smart, it's freedom. Most people are trained to think like employees. Work one job, get one paycheck, spend it, repeat. But this model is fragile. Jobs disappear. Industries evolve. And when your entire life depends on one source, you live in constant uncertainty, even if the income is good. Now, Multiple streams of income don't mean you need to start 5 businesses at once. It starts with your primary income, usually your job or business. From there, you build outward. You take a portion of that income and use it to create or invest in other sources: real estate, dividend stocks, a side hustle, an online product, consulting, or something else that aligns with your skills and interests. It's about layers. Imagine you work a regular job, but you also have an online store that generates a few $100s a month. You've also invested in index funds, earning dividends. You rent out a small property. Maybe you've written an ebook that sells on autopilot. Individually, each stream might not be impressive, but together they create momentum. They stack, they scale. The beauty of this approach is that it brings peace of mind. You're no longer at the mercy of one boss or one economy. You're building something sustainable. You're moving from reactive to proactive. You don't panic during downturns, you pivot. Many wealthy individuals start small: a side hustle on evenings or weekends, a course taught online, a small investment property. Over time, what starts as a trickle becomes a steady flow. The key is consistency and reinvestment. Don't just spend your extra income. Use it to build new streams. Technology has made this easier than ever. You can create digital products, offer services globally, and access platforms for investing with just a few clicks. There are more opportunities today than at any point in history. But with more opportunity comes more noise. That's why you need clarity. Choose streams that align with your strengths. Don't chase every shiny object. Master one stream before adding another. A big part of this rule is also mental. It's about shifting from the idea of trading time for money to building systems that work without you. That could mean automation, outsourcing, or using tools that scale your effort. Time is limited. Income doesn't have to be. Another advantage of having multiple streams is leverage. One stream can support another. For example, income from your job can fund your investments. Revenue from your side hustle can pay for marketing your online course. You start creating a self-sustaining ecosystem. It's a different way of thinking, one that puts you in control. But here's the truth. Building multiple income streams takes time. It takes patience, learning, and experimentation. Not every attempt will succeed. But failure in one stream doesn't sink you when you have others. That's the safety net. That's the power. And it's not just about money. It's about identity. When you rely on one source of income, your entire sense of self can be tied to it. Lose the job, lose the identity. But when you diversify, you discover new parts of yourself. You become more adaptable, more creative, more resilient. Wealthy people don't wait for permission. They create. They explore. They try. Not everything works, but some things do. And the wins, when they come, are multiplied by the fact that they're built on many legs, not just one. If you don't know where to start, ask yourself, what skills do I have? What do people ask me for help with? What problems can I solve? What do I know more about than most people? Somewhere in those answers lies your next stream of income. This is the 6th rule of wealth. Never depend on a single source. Build many bridges. Let your income flow from different directions. Because when money comes from more than one place, you're no longer chasing it. You're catching it. Chapter 7. The 7th rule of wealth is as timeless as it is powerful. Be patient and think long-term. In a world that celebrates overnight success and instant gratification, this principle often gets overlooked. But if you study any truly wealthy person, someone who built lasting wealth rather than a temporary fortune, you'll find this rule at the core of their strategy. Wealth, real wealth, takes time. We live in a society obsessed with speed, fast money, quick returns, immediate results. But wealth isn't something that appears out of nowhere. It's something that grows like a tree. You don't plant a seed today and expect fruit tomorrow. You water it, you protect it, and you let time do its part. Patience is what separates investors from gamblers, builders from chasers, winners from quitters. Every wealthy person understands compound growth, not just in money, but in knowledge, skill, relationships, and habits. Compounding is slow at first. The results are invisible, but then, over time, they accelerate. Small actions, done consistently, lead to massive outcomes. A few dollars invested regularly can grow into a fortune. A skill practiced daily becomes mastery. A connection nurtured over years becomes a powerful partnership. But most people give up too soon. They want big returns now. They abandon good plans for flashy promises. They switch from strategy to strategy, always looking for the shortcut. And in doing so, they miss the most valuable reward of all, the exponential return that only time can give. Being patient doesn't mean being passive. It means staying consistent with the right actions while allowing time to amplify them. It's about choosing boring, predictable systems over emotional decisions. It's knowing that slow success is still success, and usually the kind that lasts. Think of someone who invests $500 a month for 30 years in an index fund with an average return of 8%. At the end of that time, they'd have over $700,000. But most people never see this because they stop after a year or they don't start at all. Why? Because they can't see the reward fast enough. But patience isn't about speed. It's about vision. This principle applies to business too. Many businesses take years before they become profitable. The early stages are slow, uncertain, often frustrating. But the people who persist, who improve, adapt, and stay the course are the ones who reap the rewards. It's not that they're smarter. They're just more committed to the long game. Patience also builds emotional strength. It teaches you to delay gratification, to manage your impulses, to stay focused when others are distracted. It sharpens your decision-making. When you're thinking long-term, you don't chase every trend. You evaluate, you plan, you move with purpose, not panic. That's why long-term thinking is a mindset as much as it is a strategy. It means setting goals not just for this year, but for 5, 10, even 20 years down the line. It means asking yourself, will this decision still matter to me in a decade? Is this a foundation or a distraction? Am I building something real or just reacting to pressure? Wealthy people are often surprisingly calm during downturns, in markets, in business, even in life. They know that no season lasts forever. They've seen what time can do. They don't sell in fear or quit in frustration. They hold, they wait, they keep planting seeds. And speaking of seasons, timing matters. Some opportunities are worth waiting for. Some ideas need time to develop. Some relationships grow stronger with age. Long-term thinkers don't rush every process. They learn when to act and when to wait. That balance is a quiet superpower. Thinking long-term also shifts how you spend money. You begin to see purchases not as expenses, but as investments or not. You ask, will this bring value years from now? You stop wasting money on things that impress people temporarily, and you start investing in what brings freedom later. Education, assets, health, skills. Your time becomes more valuable too. You stop trading hours for quick paychecks and start building systems that pay you over time. You begin to understand that the real currency of life isn't just money. It's control over your future. And patience buys that control. Of course, this mindset isn't always easy to maintain. It's hard to stay calm when others are sprinting. It's hard to trust the process when you can't yet see the results. But this is where discipline comes in. This is where you remind yourself that anything truly great takes time, and that the best rewards are waiting for those who don't give up. This is the 7th rule of wealth. Be patient and think long-term. Let the power of compounding, consistency, and time work in your favor. While others chase flashes of success, you'll be quietly building something that lasts. Wealth is not just about what you do. It's about how long you keep doing it. Chapter 8. The 8th rule of wealth is both practical and deeply psychological. Manage your emotions, or your emotions will manage your money. Money is not just numbers. It's not only about income, expenses, and spreadsheets. It's about feelings: fear, greed, pride, insecurity, hope. Behind every financial decision, there is an emotional force. And if you don't understand that, you will constantly make choices that sabotage your long-term wealth, even if you know better. Let's start with fear. Fear is one of the most powerful emotions tied to money. Fear of losing it. Fear of not having enough. Fear of missing out. It's what makes people panic during a market crash and sell their investments at a loss. It's what keeps others from ever investing at all, clinging to savings accounts that barely grow. Fear can keep you stuck, watching others take calculated risks while you stand still, afraid to move. Then there's greed, the desire for fast gains, the hunger for more. Now, greed is what drives people into risky investments, chasing unrealistic returns. It's what makes them fall for scams and shortcuts. Greed whispers, if you just double your money quickly, everything will change. But wealth built on greed is unstable. It rises fast and crashes even faster. Another common emotion is pride. Pride keeps people from asking questions when they don't understand something. It tells them, you already know enough. It stops them from seeking advice or learning from others. Pride makes people hide their struggles and live beyond their means, just to maintain appearances. But wealth doesn't care about your image. It cares about your actions. There's also shame and guilt. Some people feel unworthy of wealth. Deep down, they carry beliefs like money is bad, or rich people are selfish, or I'll never be successful. These beliefs don't come from nowhere. They're often inherited from childhood, culture, or past experiences. But if left unexamined, they quietly destroy your financial potential. You might make money, but you'll find ways to lose it or avoid it, simply because it doesn't feel right. So, what's the solution? Self-awareness. Start by noticing how you feel when you make financial decisions. Are you anxious when you spend? Do you feel guilty when you save instead of helping someone else? Do you rush into things because of pressure or excitement? Track your patterns. Every emotional reaction leaves clues. Next, create systems to protect you from emotional decisions. For example, if you're prone to panic selling, automate your investments and don't check them daily. If you overspend when you're stressed, use cash instead of cards or create a 24-hour rule before any large purchase. Systems bring discipline, and discipline protects you from yourself. Another important habit is learning to pause. Emotions demand immediate action, but wealth is rarely built by rushing. When you're emotional, don't make big decisions. Wait, think, sleep on it. Most of the time, your rational mind will see more clearly in the morning. You also need to create emotional distance from money. It's a tool, not a measure of your worth. Just because you lost money doesn't mean you're a failure. Just because you have money doesn't mean you're superior. when you stop linking your identity to your bank balance. You free yourself from an emotional roller coaster. That's when your decisions get sharper. Managing your emotions also means learning emotional resilience, especially when things go wrong. Every wealthy person has lost money at some point. Bad investments, failed businesses, unexpected expenses. It's part of the journey, but they don't let setbacks define them. They learn, adapt, and keep going. Emotional resilience is what keeps you in the game long enough to win. One powerful tool for emotional control is education. The more you understand money, how it works, how markets behave, how people succeed, the less fear and confusion you feel. Knowledge builds confidence, and confidence keeps your emotions in check. Also, talk about money. Not with just anyone, but with people you trust who are also trying to grow. Share your wins and your mistakes. Ask for feedback. Discuss strategies. The more you normalize these conversations, the less emotional power money holds over you. Lastly, remind yourself of your vision. Why are you building wealth? What does financial freedom mean to you? When you have a clear purpose, it helps you stay grounded during emotional storms. You're not chasing money blindly. You're walking towards something meaningful. This is the 8th rule of wealth. Manage your emotions. Learn to pause. Learn to reflect. Learn to stay calm when others panic, and patient when others rush. Because wealth isn't just a financial journey. It's an emotional one. Master your emotions, and money will follow your lead. Chapter 9. The 9th rule of wealth is this. Surround yourself with people who think bigger than you do. Your environment shapes your mindset more than you might realize. If you want to build wealth, you must be intentional not only about your actions, but also about who you let influence your thoughts, beliefs, and standards. There's an old saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. While this isn't a hard mathematical rule, the idea behind it is powerful. If you surround yourself with people who complain about money, avoid responsibility, and believe wealth is only for the lucky, their mindset will start to rub off on you. Slowly, without noticing, you'll start thinking smaller. You'll start making excuses. You'll settle. But if you spend time with people who are ambitious, disciplined, curious, and forward-thinking, they lift you up. They challenge you. They make you realize what's possible. Wealthy people are often surrounded by others who are playing at the same level or higher. They actively seek out mentors, partners, and friends who expand their vision. This rule isn't just about networking or making business connections. It's deeper than that. It's about shaping your internal dialogue through external influence. When everyone around you is talking about growth, investments, new ideas, and solving problems, your mind begins to operate on that frequency too. It doesn't mean you abandon friends who aren't wealthy. Wealth isn't the only measure of value in a person. But it does mean you should seek out at least a few people who think differently, who can inspire and stretch you. Sometimes one good conversation with the right person can change your entire direction. Now, finding those people doesn't always happen by accident. Sometimes you need to be strategic. That might mean attending events, joining communities, taking courses, or reaching out to someone you admire. Be willing to show up in the rooms where growth happens, even if you feel uncomfortable at first. In fact, feeling uncomfortable is a good sign. Growth always feels a bit awkward in the beginning. You might feel like the smallest fish in the pond, but that's the whole point. When you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Find rooms where you can learn, where you're humbled and inspired at the same time. Surrounding yourself with people who think bigger also protects you from self-doubt. There will be times when you question your ideas, your ability, your progress. If you're isolated or surrounded by negative voices, those doubts grow louder. But when you're in the company of doers, people who face the same fears and kept moving, you're reminded that doubt is normal, but it's not the end. Wealthy people often form networks of collaboration and support. They understand that wealth is rarely built alone. They share knowledge. They make introductions. They create opportunities for one another. They build trust over time. It's not about using people. It's about growing together. There's another benefit to this rule: exposure. When you spend time with people who have already achieved what you want, it starts to feel real. It's no longer a distant dream. It's something you can see, touch, and understand. Exposure breaks mental barriers. It shows you that success isn't magic. It's a series of steps, decisions, and habits repeated over time. If you don't yet have people like this in your circle, start with what you can control. Read the books they read. Listen to the podcasts they record. Watch the interviews they give. Study how they think, how they speak, how they solve problems. Over time, your thinking will begin to shift. Eventually, you'll attract and recognize these people in real life because you'll be thinking on their level. This rule also applies to what you consume, your mental diet, the media you follow, the conversations you have, the content you absorb, all shape your financial mindset. Be ruthless about what you let into your head. Avoid toxic voices. Avoid constant negativity. Choose information that empowers you. Remember, your environment isn't just your physical space. It's your mental space too. This is the 9th rule of wealth. Surround yourself with people who make you think bigger. If your circle doesn't inspire you, it limits you. Find people who remind you of your potential, not your past. Because in the right company, you'll stop doubting what you can do and start proving it. Chapter 10. We've come to the final chapter, but really, this is just the beginning. You're beginning. You've read through the rules of wealth, absorbed the lessons, and hopefully something has shifted inside you. Maybe it's a new clarity. Maybe it's a fire that wasn't burning before. Whatever it is, don't let it fade. Let it fuel your next move. Wealth isn't about luck. It's not about privilege or magic or being born into the right family. It's about principles, disciplines, decisions repeated over time. It's about who you become as much as what you do. And that's the real secret. Wealth isn't just something you chase. It's something you build from within. Let's reflect for a moment. You learn that wealth starts with your mindset, how you think about money, time, opportunity, and yourself. You discover the importance of saving consistently, investing wisely, and creating systems that work whether you feel motivated or not. You've seen how avoiding debt, increasing your value, and thinking long-term can dramatically shift your financial trajectory. You also learn that emotion plays a massive role, that fear, greed, and insecurity can quietly derail even the smartest plans. But when you become aware of those emotional patterns, you gain the power to redirect them. And through all of this, one thing stands out. Wealth is not a single action or even a single decision. It's a pattern of living. Most people never follow through. They read, they feel inspired, then they go back to their routine. They forget, but not you. If you made it here, if you're still reading, then something inside you already wants more. And wanting more isn't selfish. It's not greedy. Wanting more is human. It means you're awake, alive, ready. Now, what happens next? Start with one rule. Just one. Choose the one that hit you hardest. Apply it today, not next week, not someday. Today. Let it create momentum. Let that small action be the spark. Because here's the truth. Momentum is more powerful than motivation. Motivation fades. Momentum compounds. Don't try to be perfect. You'll make mistakes. You'll forget things. You'll get discouraged. That's normal. Wealth is a winding road, not a straight line. The key is to keep moving, to keep adjusting, to keep learning and applying over and over again. Also, remember this. Wealth is not just about how much money you have. It's about freedom. Freedom to spend your time how you want, to support the people and causes you care about, to live without panic, without pressure, without being chained to a paycheck or a boss you dislike. True wealth gives you options, and options are power. So wherever you are right now, whether you're starting from zero, climbing out of debt, or building on what you already have, know that you have what it takes. You do. It's not about being the smartest. It's about being the most committed, most consistent, most patient. The rules don't change, but your results will when you start living them. Let this be the chapter you write your own story from. Not the end of the book, but the start of a new one. One where you become the author of your financial future. Because no one is coming to save you. But you don't need saving. You need a plan, a mindset, a commitment. And now you have all three. Wealth isn't a destination. It's a way of thinking, living, and choosing again and again. Now go live it.